In this tutorial, we're going to talk about print, how to make a business card, a letterhead, an envelope, how to design a paper bag, what are Pantone colors, bleeds, crops, crop marks, and so forth. So let's first of all start with making a simple business card. I'll put these two images aside. Okay, now I want to work on a standard size business card, and the standard size is 3.5 by 2 inches. So I will select the rectangle tool and remove the white color, and then just click once on the artboard and enter the values 3.5 by 2 inches and then hit OK. Now I've chosen to have no color. I wanted my rectangle or my business card to have no color because I have certain things to do with it before I apply the color. So the first thing I want to do is basically offset path. I'll explain why I'm doing this later. So object path, offset path, and I'm going to choose a value like 0.15 or actually 0.2 inches and then hit OK. If I go to my outline mode by hitting Command Y, I see that I have my standard size business card 3.5 by 2 inches and the one that I offsetted, which is slightly bigger than that. Now, what I want to do is take my original business card, the one that's 3.5 by 2 inches, and then hit Command C and Command F, which means copy and place in front. And I want to make this new one that I just copied and pasted in front a guide. So to make it a guide, remember the shortcut is Command 5. Okay, so now that business card of mine is a guide, and this way I can see, the limits of my business card, even though this guide, the steel blue, is not something that will end up getting printed. It's just a guide for me. It's a reference for me to know the boundaries of my design. Now, the next thing I want to do is lock this guide. So I'll do that by hitting Command colon, which equally hides it. And then I want to select my real initial rectangle that I created, which is the original business card, and I want to go to Effect and then Crop Marks. So these crop marks will basically, when my work ends up going to the printer, let me click on it so that it becomes clearer. When my work ends up going to the printer, these crop marks are very necessary because if I have, let's say, a color touching the edge, and eventually at the printer they will cut the paper, you see where there are crop marks, they will cut at this line a vertical cut, and then at this line a horizontal cut, same thing here and here. And if I have, let's say, a color right here, for example, a circle that's touching the edge, the benefit of crop marks is that I have to make my color bleed out. So we've introduced two terms here, crop marks and bleeds. I have to make my color bleed out in order for when the printer comes following these crop marks, cuts at the edge of my paper, we won't see an ugly thin white, which is the color of the paper right here. Instead, if I bleed my color outwards, then when the printer cuts the paper right here, we will see that color at the edge of my paper. I'll show you how. Now I want to go ahead and unhide my guide again, so Command colon, and within this space I want to put my design. So let's pretend I have this circular logo right here. I have this logo. Let me give it a random color, a red color. Obviously, it has to be your design, your logo. Pay attention to the sizes that you use. Sometimes new designers tend to, make a logo very big on a business card. For example, this is too big proportionally. It's too big with regards to the small business card. So you can work at this by comparing existing business cards to your design and then seeing if you're doing the right thing. Also, when you type something, let's say the name, let's say name, last name, and then a phone number. We're making all this up. Again, make sure you use the right font size. This looks very big for me. Let me see what font size I've used. 12 points is too big for a business card. I would maybe make the name a 10 point and then whatever else information even less than that, like a 9 or an 8 point. The best thing to know if you're doing the right thing is once you're done with your design, print it. Print it, a black and white, just printing at home, just to see if, the sizes are good, the proportions are working well, and so forth. So let's pretend this is what we have. And then let me show you what I mean by a color bleeding out. So as we said, this is, for example, the logo. We're pretending it is. And in our design, we have, let's say, a color that's coming here on the edge, and then, some curve, some shape, something happening. So let me pretend that I have this shape. I'm going to use the pen tool and then draw this, just click outside and draw this wavy shape. Okay. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and give this another color, like a light green. Okay. Now, what the idea is that, first of all, I have my guide, which is in teal blue. And the good thing about the guide is that it won't get printed. So whenever I send this work to print, this teal blue is not going to be printed on my sheet. Neither will these crop marks. These crop marks obviously will be printed, but eventually they're used to cut the sheet of paper, so you won't see it on your final business card. Now, the reason we created that extra offsetted rectangle around the original size of the business card is because when we have such a design that's touching the edge, like this green, we definitely wanted to bleed out of the 3.5 by 2 inches. That's why I extended my design outside the limit of this 3.5 by 2 inch rectangle. And since this offsetted rectangle is outside, I'll just make sure it's in the front. So you can make sure it's in the front either using layers or just by arranging bring to front, and then selecting that rectangle and holding down the shift key and selecting this green element or any other element that's bleeding out of your work. And actually any element that's touching the edge of your business card, or in the future your letterhead, or in the future your poster, or anything that has to do with print, your brochure, your magazine, anything, any color touching the edge or any image touching the edge should bleed out. And so I will select that bleeded color with my offsetted path rectangle, and then hit Command 7 to go ahead and mask that bleeded color. And obviously the design came in front of my type, so I need to send it back, Command Shift and the left bracket to send it back. So now this work is ready to be sent to print because I have the crop marks when the printer is cutting the paper at this edge. We won't see an ugly white, which will be like a defect. Instead, when it cuts, since there's a bleed, it will be a nice green on the edges, and it will be a nice professional piece of work. Now, when you go ahead and create your letterhead and your envelope based off of this business card, because usually we start designing a business card and then we move to the remaining of the stationery, just make sure that you reduce the size of your logo by like 10%. So in case you're designing the letterhead, you would just copy this logo, place it on your letterhead design based on the design that you have, whether it's at the top right corner, centered on the letterhead, and so forth. And then you just go to the scale tool, and it will, the current size of the logo is 100%, but then you'll have to um, enter 90 so that you reduce the size of the logo by like 10%, and then you hit OK. So just make sure you do that, because the size, visually with experience, you can obviously start telling that the sizes on your business card, whether for the type or the logo, are slightly bigger than what's on the letterhead and envelope.